For those with good taste.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
What's up, Carls?
And not only are we back in Good Taste Studios, but I'll tell you what, Lenny, I am pumped for dose reasons, my man.
Two
Whole reasons.
Couple
Yeah,
of-
oh yeah. We're coming in hot.
Reasons. That's
I mean,
awesome, man.
Numero uno.
Let me hear them.
Manchester City, baby. Made it to the Champions League final.
I was wondering why you were wearing the shirt, dude.
I usually don't go back to back.
No.
I usually don't do that, but I
Drink.
had to because for the first time in our history, we make it to the Champions League final, and we're going to find out who we're facing. But
You mean you love them that much, and this is the first time making it to the Champions League finals?
yeah,
Wow.
I'm a
I had no
diehard
idea.
fan, dude.
I had no idea, dude. That's
But
like the Red Sox fan in
I'm
the
gonna-
90s.
84 years is a tough time, man. We didn't have to wait that long.
Nope.
But I've got another reason why I'm pretty pumped today, Len.
Ooh, surprise me. What is it?
We've got a hot new introduction.
What do you got? Whoa, hot dog.
We've only been talking about this movie for what feels like forever.
Yeah, so we it'd be apropos.
Apropos to introduce the Heat Ray Godzilla straight off the...
Pretty fucking fire, dude. You opening it?
I'm going to
You
open it.
Okay.
It's only right that I open
That's
it.
going to take you a second to get set up. So let me tell you, Matt,
What do you
why
got
I'm
going on,
excited,
buddy?
dude. I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I'm buying a new car.
Oh, yeah, you did tell. It's been quite the process for you, huh?
So I haven't told you this, though. I saved this, Matt. There's been one key thing going on in my life. And, hey, if you're out there, don't tell my car dealership about this. Maybe I should wait. Fuck it.
He'll subscribe.
Suddenly, like, I went and looked at the car 3 weeks ago, and I'll try and talk through that noise. And it wasn't available. Cars are apparently at a shortage right now. That's if you didn't know that. They're at a bit of a shortage. So I've had to wait 3.5 weeks for my car to get off of a truck somewhere that was stuck in that canal that had the fucking boat stuck in it. I'm pretty sure the Suez.
Ooh.
Pretty sure it was stuck in that
The Suez
store.
Canal.
In the 3 weeks, Matt, somehow I've developed a leak in my car.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So let me show you a picture. I went to the dealership today and signed papers to buy my new car. And this is what I opened my door to.
Oh, my goodness.
I wonder if there's a way.
You sprung a leak, buddy.
I don't know if there's a way like people can see on this, but basically
Explain to the viewers what we're seeing, buddy.
the Pacific Ocean was in the passenger seat of my fucking car. And like that's just on my floor mats that luckily are rubber, so it didn't.
Yeah, thank God it caught everything.
It didn't.
Oh, no?
Underneath it
Oh, no.
was another ocean, man. It is fucking crazy. So
Oh, my God.
in the 3 weeks since I've like decided to get this car and I'm utilizing my car as trade-in value, there has been a leak in the passenger side door. There's been one in the lights above my fucking
And it's
center
been raining
console.
nonstop over here lately.
And this morning, Matt, on my drive to the dealership, it started leaking from the handle in my driver's side.
Oh, no. So you basically got an entire, like, sewer system going on in the roof of your car.
I don't know what the fuck to do, man. Because, like, I just need it to stop raining. I'm getting the car on Friday. I need it to stop raining for 2 fucking days.
And it hasn't, buddy. Mother Nature is not
I
having
just need
it.
a little sun out there, man. A little ray of sunshine. Pray for me.
Well, it's almost like, and I've always had this theory that when you're going to buy a new car, your car knows. Like, its
She's
time, its
pissed,
days are
dude.
numbered.
She is pissed. It's like, I've been putting it off for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
This is so appropriate that everything is just like crumbling in on itself right now.
We'll say that the pandemic gave you and your car an extra year together, and it's been a tough breakup, man.
Yeah.
I hate to see you going through it, but the good news is that you're almost at the finish line.
I'm excited. So the happy story in this is like my car won't be flooded in 2 days. So that's awesome. Cross our fingers I get there.
Your new car won't be, but your old car probably still going to be flooded.
Yeah. Yeah. So show us what we got, Matt. Show us what we got.
It just felt good to take this thing out of the box. And when you look at
how we breathe fire onto our
dude.
I think that's guy's Carl.
Burning this guy over,
fucking
dude.
his head is being singed right now,
singed
baby.
off, man. Well, Godzilla makes his well-awaited appearance, and I'll tell you what, man. As a true funky pop lover myself, that's one of the better ones that I've seen in quite some time.
You're a fan of her?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm hoping that this isn't the last one we're going to get.
Like I said, I got to wait and save up some dough. You know?
Oh, okay.
I got a lot of expenses these days.
Give you the old wink,
I
wink.
was just going to push them off the table. But that's,
yeah, they've got quite a collection going on. And I'll be honest, this is one of those collections where I think we could definitely benefit from getting all of them.
There's a couple 10-inch figures, which are always a cool one. The bigger ones, the thick daddies.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
It's a different movie, but
But
I'm sure they would have preferred a bigger boat when they carried Kong on that boat.
Well, I mean, we talked about it. Home disadvantage, man. Like home field disadvantage. You bring this guy on the smallest boat. He's got no room to work with. But
you know who else would normally have home field advantage, Matt?
It depends on where you are, Len.
In this case,
Disney Plus.
I think. Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out where this Minnesota. That's easy. That's easy. Yeah, Minnesota. What I was gonna say is like you'd think that Gordon Bombay would have had some home field advantage at his own fucking Ducks like banquet.
Man, this episode was one of those heavy hitters. And if you don't know what we're talking about Disney Plus's beautiful original, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. And if you haven't been on the wild ride that is the Game Changers, last week's episode was a bit of a tipping point, would you say?
I mean, I want to hear your stuff first, because maybe I'm on a different side than you on this.
So I don't know where to start. We could start with Bombay not being invited to his own Mighty Ducks gala, which I think was the biggest slap in the face. Yeah. Could kind of understand where they're coming from, though. The reintroduction of our old Mighty Ducks, man, getting to see Fulton Reed break a window always feels good. A
little coincidental, but yeah.
But just when everything feels like it's going well and you're ready to take the next step and wait for the next episode, a certain video gets leaked. Len, and I think you can agree with me. Anytime a video gets leaked, it's probably not going to be a good one.
I thought when I initially saw her filming that it was going to be like a live stream.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was going to be like blackmail, basically. Like we were holding it.
So I guess that's my question coming out of it was, do you think the late release or the staggered release of the video was a cheap shot, or do you think they had already released it?
It seemed like they could have used it either way, right? Because the way I look at it is, if Evan decides to join the team, you can use it as like a promo video, because I'm sure they have promo videos for the Ducks where it's like the newest addition to it, like our newest toy.
The comeback story.
Yeah. But the flip side is he did you dirty and they want to cause some torment. They're kids, they're teenagers. So they just go ahead and they fucking firebomb his practice, basically.
Well, I mean, the way that the episode started, I mean, you could kind of see that there was an inner conflict within Evan because, the kid takes the game seriously. Would you say that?
He definitely does. I mean, like, I think it seems his motives have changed because, like, once you start getting good at something, all of a sudden, he's letting it get to his head maybe a little bit.
I mean, there's probably, the pressures of being the best player on your team, wanting to lead your team to a state, but you could kind of see that when he gets to the Ice Palace and he sees these guys celebrating their first win like they had just won the championship.
Do you remember what they were celebrating with, Matt? Because I had a question for you.
I'm pretty sure it was the video of them winning their very first game against the Hawks.
There was something else they were doing.
They were also making pancakes, candy-flavored pancakes.
Candy pancakes. Did you hear the flavor?
Gummy worms, and I missed the first one. Is it Sour Patch?
Kit Kats.
Oh,
fucking
that's
yuck,
disgusting.
Dude. So yuck. That is disgusting. That doesn't even make sense as a combo.
You could be thrown in jail. That's against the Geneva Convention.
Did you think of any pancakes that you would like to have candy in?
Yes.
Because I've never heard of candy pancakes.
Candy pancakes is a new thing. I thought that you could just throw fruit and chocolate into pancakes.
I think you can.
I'm not a huge fan of fruit as it is, but
you're not a fruit.
You know what, man? I heard about candy pancakes and I immediately thought, if you give me a Reese's peanut butter cup mixed in with like, I don't know, if I had to go crazy, Sour Patch Kids?
See, but that doesn't make sense. Chocolate and then the sour. You can't.
It doesn't make sense.
It conflicts, man. You got to find like things that work with each other. I really only had one thing that I'd like on them.
What's that?
Have you had the caramel-filled Hershey's Kisses?
Yes, I have.
That's what I want on there.
Cookies and cream Hershey's, because they're always mine.
You know that I'm a fiend.
What are we doing here? You saying peaches and cream? This guy, unbelievable, dude. 112 throwback.
I digress, though. I just like that part. He's all of a sudden mad at them for just being happy they won, but these are kids that literally didn't want to play. Yeah. Like, you forced them to play. They've been getting shit on for like a month. And then you're mad at me because I don't care enough about winning a game that I didn't even want to play to begin with.
What did you think of Evan's character change? He kind of went full heel.
I don't think he went full heel. I think he's just like, I think he wants what we would all want, man. I think we all wanted to kind of fit in a little bit at some point. Like, I remember being in high school and like all of a sudden like joining the football team and like kind of how that changed, a lot of my high school trajectory, I think. So I can definitely relate to where he's coming from on that, and said all of a sudden be wanted when you got kicked out before.
Yeah.
That's another thing where like, are you gonna ever begrudge like a 14-year-old kid for wanting to be popular?
It got really weird when you kind of noticed that the coach is like, no man, I challenged you. I didn't throw you off the team.
Yeah, he's a fucking cock
He is
salesman,
manipulating Evan in the worst way possible, and you get a sense that this is adding much unwanted pressure on Evan at this point. He's got to make a decision. You know, my mom's doing all this stuff for me. My friends are looking out for me.
I really liked the way that he handled that.
Yeah.
Well, she handled that. Like, I love that good parenting, I guess, just to be like, instead of, hey, I'm going to give you an answer, because it'd be really easy for, like, I think most parents would be like, you quit the fucking team. I've been putting my personal time in. You have all these other kids that are committing. You're going to show up and play for that team.
Yeah.
But she's like, I know in the long run he's going to come to the right decision. I have a good kid here. I trust him. Let's see kind of where it takes us. And he comes around. He
makes the right decision, and that's where he has his moment, right? Like, you almost feel like this is going to turn it around, and hopefully the Don't Bothers are going to go on this 9-game win streak so that he can make it to states. But
obviously, though, that wasn't the primary focus of this episode. Nope. That was a really good backdrop, and I think it's the storyline that was maybe even more effective here, because I guess I didn't love... I've watched the episode twice, and the second time I liked the reunion better. Mm-hmm. I mostly didn't like it the first time. Start here. The cast. Like, the people that are involved.
Yeah.
You don't get much more B player than... I mean, I guess Banks is fairly important. Fulton Reed is important.
Aberman could have been important if he wasn't the focal point. Like, I hate that Aberman was almost the main... like, person that we were supposed to remember, right? There was a lot of focus on the way that he talked.
Kenny Wu had a
moment
there.
Yeah,
Fulton did too. I think they all had reasonable parts, because Banks gives a good speech at the reunion.
Yeah, about being a cake
but
eater.
Let's think about the characters that have come from this, like, franchise. Like, Charlie Conway is the one I think that is most obvious that we would all want to see. That's who the way they set it up in the episode.
The way they referenced him?
The way they brought him up, I hated that. I hated the reasoning for him not being there. Like, oh, like, you're a dickhead, Gordon, so he didn't show up. It's like, so he doesn't show up to the gala either? Like, that doesn't really make sense. And in addition to that, like, I thought it would have been great if he's like, yeah, I'm not going to show up, basically, and then he shows up, and you see him at the very end. I think that would have been the best way to do it. But too much to ask. The guy probably didn't want to be involved. Joshua Jackson probably didn't have interest. But even, like, Keenan. You have some actors that came from this franchise that are pretty fucking popular.
Big stars.
And I think that those are the people that a majority of the fans were going to be looking for. And that's what I was looking for as a person that, I don't know, I guess I have no pulse as to what the real audience for this show is.
Sure.
Is the audience me? Like, the nostalgic viewer, or is the audience kids that you're trying to get involved? Because I don't know if kids are really watching this or not.
When you came out of this episode, did the reunion factor almost make you feel like it was made for you? Because there was very few things that I think anybody, if you're watching that show, there's not much that you gain from it.
You wouldn't have cared unless you were one of us.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like somebody who grew up
there was
on
nothing
the
to
shows.
thicken the plot, so to speak. If anything, it was kind of a time filler.
Well, I think it moves along Gordon's storyline a little bit, but going back to what I was saying, like, there's more issues with it. Like, I don't like where these characters ended up either. Somebody I was talking to brought this up, one of our friends, and I 100% agree. And I didn't really think about it when I first watched it, but, like, the Ducks are amazing, right? Yeah. Like, the Ducks are great. They have all this legacy. They can kick kids off of the team. They have all these recruits that come and play. Yeah. Do you find it weird that none of the original Ducks played hockey? You know what I mean? Like, post their career, like, these kids are supposed to be great at hockey, but they've all essentially just gone on to be construction workers, lawyers, politicians,
limo drivers.
Yeah, nothing to do with hockey. But now, flash forward X amount of years, I just thought there would be a bunch of pro hockey players at this gala, right? There's like, and where were all the other? We didn't even meet any other Ducks between those Ducks and the coach, who they say is a Duck.
Yeah.
So I don't even know that there's been other Ducks, but this is supposed to be a great franchise.
Yeah, all of these were really good observations, and this episode kind of took a sour turn for me with the reunion special. I didn't like the fact that they go to dinner and Gordon immediately, throws the boxing gloves on, and he's feeling like he has to defend himself, and then they're all 100% quick to just jump on this bandwagon that we all hate Gordon Bombay.
In my notes,
you didn't come to my wedding. You didn't baptize my child.
that I forget what I wrote, but I basically was just like, Gordon is like the most relatable person though, because he's just like a typical guy. Like, he can't talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's upset he didn't get invited, he's like, he can't just say that. He's got to put like a tough guy exterior
So
on.
I was okay with that aspect, but then they didn't do him any favors. Like, they immediately all kind of just took a turn for the worse, and it really only seems that maybe Fulton is kind of on the fence of whether or not he cares. But then you go to the gala,
like he cares.
and Evan has to kind of break down to them like, hey guys, you guys know this guy. Like, he's not a proud person he's a proud person who's not going to just make everybody think that you guys don't want him. I thought that the character turns there were really weird, and the fact that that was all we got. This gala seemed like it was thrown together in somebody's gym.
Connie named her kid. Like, they named one of their kids.
We named our kid after him.
Like, what? Why'd you do that? How about don't, dude?
Surprised to see that they were still together.
Yeah, and then the only other thing was I'm pretty sure there was a stunt double when they had Aberman driving onto the ice.
On the ice.
I don't think that was him driving. I've watched it back several times. Like, I was like pausing when I was watching it, and no, I could do that, dude. There's just I could 100%. If anybody has a limo out there and wants to see if I can do this,
and an ice rink,
that
we can legally do that.
I definitively promise I could have done the move that he did with little to no practice.
I'm not going to give you that much credit, dude.
You've never, like, I used to drift around parking lots in the winter like it was fucking my job, basically,
I'm
dude.
sure
I was
you did,
Aberman
dude.
for one winter.
But there's something about doing it on the big ice in front of everybody. I think there's a little bit of added pressure. So now that we're coming out of this episode, Len, how do you feel going into the next one?
I want to see if there's a takeaway on one thing specifically. So the game they play at the end of the episode, there was a couple callbacks. So I think that Evan's storyline in this episode is very reminiscent to Gordon Bombay's storyline in like the second
one
movie.
Yeah, it's a good parallel.
Where it's like he has the choice between going famous or staying loyal, and like they get really upset with him and won't practice for him in the second movie because they think he's a traitor, basically.
Well,
right?
He also was overheard saying, I don't give a damn about those kids, but it was taken completely out of context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same
really
thing
parallel
that I think they did here with Evan, just in a little bit of a different way. So I want to see where that comes from and where it comes full circle, because I think it's going to mirror very similar what we got in the movies. The other thing I want to know, also in the second Ducks movie, when they meet Kenan Thompson, right? They have to go to that street court. And like they're kind of weak, kind of
they got to
pussy,
earn their street
and
cred.
they had to toughen up, right? Yeah. So they go and learn how to fight from these kids on the street. They learn they get the kid
who can do the knuckle puck.
Yeah, exactly. They become a tougher team. I want to see if that's what the end of the episode here, where they're playing with the older Ducks. Yeah. There was one thing in particular when they buried Banks over the glass or the bench, whatever. I'm like, I wonder if now you're gonna get a kid who has more of that tough. Because like that was a big part of the early ones. Was like Kenny Wu makes the joke about defending himself, right? Like drop the gloves.
Well, I mean, even in this one, Fulton's like, "Man, I miss getting into fights," and like Kenny's like, "All right, let's do it."
Defending yourself is a message that was delivered through those movies, and I just wonder if we're going to get some of like those things that we saw in the very end, where those Ducks were passing down some of their knowledge,
skills.
If it's going to develop any of these characters further, because they do need more of these kids to develop. If the big question I have coming out of this, it's very focused on them not making states. They've told you definitively, like multiple characters now have been like, we're not going to make states. No. Do you think they're going to make states?
I think it would be really cheap if they did. Does that make sense? Because at this point,
it wouldn't make sense to me because they're not good.
Because they're not good. I think that's what I mean by cheap is you made a very good point of drawing the parallels between them growing as a team and eventually getting better. My issue with this is that we haven't seen any of this on screen.
You're right, but in the movies, all those things I just referenced happen, and then all of a sudden they play a bunch of games in a row and they start winning.
But look at where they started.
Yeah, but we have 4 episodes here, right? Yeah. What if you see them grind out a win, and like, what if they did two games in the next episode and they win both of them? Is that going to be enough to convince you in your mind that they're making a run at this? Because I think inevitably they're going to maybe lose in the championship is the plan here.
I like the idea that they're going to go on this streak and it needing to be 9 games in a row that they win. And I could see them losing that last game, right? Like they get onto the run,
they lose to the Ducks,
put in all the work, and they lose to the Ducks. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And Evan doesn't get to make it to states, but he gets to understand himself better as a character.
And we'll probably get a season 2 anyways, which they can do the comeback, right? The Balboa comeback.
There's a lot of different things that they can do with it. My hope is that a lot of it doesn't fall to off-screen kind of know-how. Like you can't expect me to know this and believe it when I'm looking at it if you haven't really delivered it to me.
For sure.
Sure. And I think that there's a couple of different things that you could say with that.
Yeah. So let's move on. We got some big Marvel news. Some more coming out of the Disney camp yesterday, actually, or was it yesterday or the day before?
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yep.
Okay. So
We got our first look.
We got basically a first look teaser trailer. Let's start. What were some of the takeaways you had?
I didn't think I'd be excited for Black Panther. I'm excited for Black Panther.
Even post
Yeah.
look, obviously the man passed away. I think there's going to be a lot of intrigue. I heard somebody say this, and I 100% agree. It's probably going to be the biggest movie of all time. Like in terms of opening weekend stuff. Like,
yeah, I think it is
going
going
to be tough to get a ticket.
It's going to be one of those things where everybody wants to see it, everybody wants to support it, and I think it's very similar to the first movie in that sense, where it is such a big project that you want to show your support, right? Even more so now with Chadwick's passing. The other thing that I take from it is, as excited as I am about Black Panther, I am less excited about Captain Marvel.
I hated the title.
Yeah.
The Captain Marvels, right?
Why?
I mean, I guess I don't know enough about it. I can't pretend to be like very knowledgeable on the comic book or anything, but I believe there's multiple Marvels, so like that would make sense.
Great, I guess.
Yeah. Steve will tell us. Steve, let me know, please.
Yeah, we'll be looking
Jeff.
for the quick
Jeff, you probably
synopsis. Either way, let us know in the comments what we should be excited for, because the excitement shot back up when I saw the Eternals first look.
Dude,
for sure.
You know who's gonna have the best comeback of the year
Who's
for
that?
me? It's Angelina Jolie, bro.
Oh, you've been saying that.
I don't know
Okay.
why. In the past few weeks, man, I have been like very much on board with the comeback. She has a movie coming out. Can you do me a favor on IMDb
course
something
I
real
can.
quick? Can you just look up the name, because I don't want to butcher the name of her movies. This is going to be somewhere on the agenda in a couple weeks, just so people know if something we'll talk about on here, because I'm very much so looking forward to it. She has a new movie coming out that looks kind of like an action movie, and I just feel like that's where she did her best work in the 2000s. Late 90s, 2000s. She did her best work in action for me personally, and since then, she's either been really involved with her personal life, she has the kids, she went through a divorce, or she's just done movies I don't really care that much about. Those Who Wish Me Dead is the one I'm talking about. Like, I'm definitely gonna watch that movie. The trailer looks interesting.
The trailer looked incredible.
Yeah, so I'm in for that one, and that's where I'm really looking forward to. Also the dude who got super rip, what's his name? Kamal
and Johnny.
Yeah, that's good. Wow, killed it, dude. Great job.
Got you, baby.
Yeah, he is a really good actor. He looked jacked as fuck. I'm sure he's gonna be good. So the two of them, I'm really stoked for that. Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, man, is there any better female actress than Angelina Jolie when it comes to action movies? I think
yes, but
really,
yeah, dude, come on. Like, okay,
who am I?
I mean, so she has a very lengthy history, but there is definitely more, and you're putting me in a weird
See,
spot right now.
and that's my fault. I shouldn't put you on the spot
You're
like
right.
that.
Well, because the first one that came to my mind, Matt, was like I instantly thought like Jennifer Lawrence, Hunger Game. She did.
So
a really
Jennifer
good
Lawrence
job.
is up there, man.
She's a great actress.
When you look at the rap sheet that Angelina Jolie's got, you can go back to Tomb Raider.
Yeah, well, that's where I didn't say Jennifer Lawrence initially, because the biggest argument to that would be Angelina Jolie has just a history.
Yeah,
you know,
been
she
doing
has
it for
a lengthy
decades.
history. Let me stew on it, because I'm sure there's somebody I'm missing.
And I speak in hyperbole all the time.
Yeah,
it is 100%. There is probably some better ones out there, but when you think about Angelina Jolie's best work, it's really done on that big stage of some of those high action films.
So I do
Gone
want
in 60 seconds.
one thing to bring up. There was one thing that caught my mind before, or caught my eye rather, in this trailer, and I don't know if you saw it.
Spit it, baby.
Before we move on here, you didn't see it, because I don't think you saw it.
I may not have. I don't pay that much attention in trailers.
There's one thing at the very end of this trailer. It's a number.
Okay.
And it looks eerily similar to a number from another franchise.
Oh, yes. I already know what you're going to say.
Right? So they show the number 4 at
Yes.
the end of the trailer. It looks exactly to me like a Fantastic Four emblem,
Yep.
right? You know, it seems like they're almost confirming it's a thing. They're hiding behind that being Phase 4. But I bring this up to say there's a huge rumor that came out yesterday that they've made another big offer to John Krasinski.
Ooh.
To
come back and play
Reed Richards. Yeah.
I looked back at this, and this is why I didn't jump immediately when you were saying that. The Fantastic Four emblem has been something that's been talked about with 2 movies. So you get the look at with Eternals, but then supposedly Doctor Doom might be involved in the Black Panther 2 somehow with Wakanda Forever.
Sure.
So it's interesting to see how that film franchise is going to play into a couple of other releases.
It was just one of the last things you see in the trailer is the number 4 as they're like fading away basically. Yeah. And to me, it was like, hey, this is phase 4 of Marvel, but at the same time, what else could that mean? It seemed like it was saying Fantastic Four, and then to have the rumor of John Krasinski, who has always been rumored to be that character, getting a huge offer. I wonder why you have to offer him that much. I mean, I feel like I'd jump at it either way, but make your money, dude.
You gotta. I mean, we're now seeing a lot of big names get enticed to the Marvel universe. I think Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones was another one that got thrown around. I forget what movie she's going to be a part of.
Yeah, because I think it's really going to be really important casting the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Those 4 roles at this point have been played by some very big shoes to follow. Whether the movies were good or not is completely irrelevant.
You say big shoes to follow, and if you look at the shoes that we're filling, they were mostly made after the movies. Like when you think of Michael B. Jordan, you don't think of him as the Human Torch.
Yeah, Chris Evans too.
Right, Chris Evans, you don't think of the Human Torch.
Well, but there's Melissa
Jessica
Mera.
Alba.
I mean, Jessica Alba's a pretty fair. But I understand what you're saying. Like, but those are all pretty big names. That you've got to find somebody who's on the come up, because it wasn't like nobody knew Jessica Alba. She had that. Which TV show did she have? True Calling?
Angel?
No, yeah, Angel. You're right.
Yeah.
No, Angel. No, we
No.
literally just did this a week ago. What is wrong with us? This is in our comments on our own YouTube video, and we are just stupid.
I know. It's okay.
Sorry, Steve, because you literally told us this. And because True Callings is also Elijah Dushku.
Yeah.
Angels in the Outfield. Damn it, T. That's you again.
Oh no. I'll figure it out.
Whatever. Who cares?
Dude? It doesn't matter.
Who gives a shit?
Either way, Jessica Alba, love you. I'm always going to mention you when I can.
She's amazing, dude. Not Deep Blue Sea. What was the movie with Paul Walker? She did weird. Like, I got to get out of here. This is so awful.
Into the Blue was the movie that you're thinking of. I got you, buddy.
Pretty stale one, but I liked it. She has a nice butt.
Let's take a moment to get out of this. Let's take a moment to get out of this.
Okay, we're good. I think I'm out. I think I'm out of it. Overall, I was excited about this. Wakanda Forever just seems like an appropriate title. I don't know if it sounds like a good title, but I understand why you had to name it that. Captain Marvel's bad title. Eternals, good title.
I'm really second biggest thing, Black Panther being able to bring back as much of that cast as they can. Lupita Nyong'o, you get the girl.
Dude, what did you fucking do? Did you listen to the Google thing that tells you how to say names?
No, dude, I've just been just getting in touch with my multicultural side.
Jesus Christ,
yeah, I'm killing it. Loving the fact they brought all of those people back and they're setting up for a beautiful second film.
I mean, they're saying that it's doing justice to, because obviously it was pretty fully written prior to them learning of the sickness there of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
So they've had to rewrite this. Brian Coogler had to rewrite it. I'm pretty optimistic. He's a great writer. He's done a lot of really good things, from Creed to obviously Black Panther, so on and so forth. But I want to see how they're going to do this, how they change the story. We don't really need to get into predictions or anything yet.
No.
But I just look forward to seeing first trailer. Because I wonder if you're going to have a way to, like, how are you going to write them out? But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, you got to wonder how they're going to wrap it up. Do we get a Black Panther story after this?
I think so. Yeah, you have the sister. I think this, like, Shuri, right? The sister,
Shuri, yeah.
Shuri. Her, and man, I keep thinking like bringing back Michael B. Jordan makes a lot of sense.
Rumors that he's supposed to be part of the second film.
It would make. I know we don't actually see him die, first and foremost.
We're
secondly,
kind of just supposed to assume that he's dead.
That seems like a universe, like specifically the Black Panther universe, because we saw when Chadwick falls off the fucking thing, like there's ways to bring people back. And if you write in a reason why Chadwick's gone, passed on, transition,
maybe there's a reason to bring him back.
Yes, I would like that.
Lenny, I think it's only appropriate that I address a rather small elephant in the room.
Is this like an issue between me and you that we're bringing to the light of the camera?
Yeah, some would say that I have a bone to pick with you.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude.
Let me get ready for this one.
Well, you have a nasty little habit of telling me and justifying why you shouldn't watch things. And then you'll watch things out of context, bring them to my attention, and then have the nerve to just shit on them. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have a hunch.
Yeah. If you have a hunch, it's because we're talking about The Bad Batch.
Yeah, dude. Like, we were supposed to record yesterday, and it just so happened that it worked out that we didn't. So I had some time on my hands. And, hey, happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way, buddy.
Don't just
Have a couple cervezas on
First
me.
of all, thank you for recognizing it.
Yeah. May the 4th be with you.
All right, you're gonna stop right there because I'm not gonna have you go on disrespecting a franchise that I've gone to bat for just about every single day I step inside the studio.
Dude, people are gonna hate me because I watched 30
might
minutes of this show.
I might stab you before this show's over.
And I was like 10 minutes in and shit's popping off. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this?
Oh,
Like,
guts, dude.
and I like just started yawning. I was about to fall asleep. And it's funny, it's not even bad. I was gonna shit on it. It's like, it's just not for me, man. And I'm
It's
sorry.
not for you.
I'm sorry. I've watched like 3 episodes of the Clone Wars. I've watched a little of Rogue Squadron or whatever it is.
All right, cut his mic. I can't handle it anymore, dude. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you watched something that you had no business watching.
What did I miss, dude? Tell me what did I miss?
Okay, this is like watching The Last Dance, right? But only watching the part where Dennis Rodman is banging Carmen Electra. You're gonna
That's
be
the
like,
best part.
"How did we get here?" It's interesting,
That's the best part,
but I have
yeah.
no idea how.
I thought you were gonna be like, it's like watching The Last Dance, but having no idea who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah, it's essentially that. For a man who's never touched the Clone Wars, and it makes me so mad that you're just like, yeah, man, I watched 3 episodes of the Clone Wars. Whatever, dude.
It's funny.
is-
Like I vaguely knew, and like I can't even talk to you about it because like you haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to spoil anything. It's just really funny because they're talking about Obi-Wan, and I'm like, I kind of know what's going on.
You don't,
a little bit,
but you don't.
Like I genuinely don't.
Well, for those who don't know, the Bad Batch was released this week with
Episode
on
1.
Episode 1 on
A whole
Disney
hour
Plus,
and like 15 minutes, by the way.
which I think had a lot of people stoked.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked when I saw that link, just knowing what, because we're gonna get more of these,
Yeah.
and it's that long an episode. Do you know how many episodes? I'm sorry, because I'll let you get back
I
to what you're
think
saying.
there's supposed to be 6.
Okay.
I
that's
think
pretty
they're
good.
doing that as well. So I think them starting off with a longer episode kind of makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So get back to, so what is the Bad Batch?
But
Why
the Bad
should I
Batch-
care about this?
And it's you in particular should not care.
Okay,
at all.
but assuming I was a normal human being who really likes
for the
Star
folks
Wars,
that actually respect and love Star Wars,
like maybe I guess I don't know how to put it because I feel like, is this only for people who have watched the Clone Wars? Like if I haven't seen the Clone Wars, is there no sense in watching the Bad Batch?
it would be very difficult for you to really understand what they're about. Because when we first started our podcast, what seems like almost a year ago now, Len, one of our very first episodes, I talked about Disney Plus releasing the final season of the Clone Wars, and we got to kind of get some closure with Ahsoka Tano, and we get to understand a little bit more how the Clone Wars played into the rest of the films. When they reintroduced that last season, you're introduced to a really cool team of stormtroopers that kind of make their own rules and do their own thing. But you don't understand why that's a big deal unless you actually know the other stormtroopers. So it's not to say that I'm taking what you're doing as disrespect, but I'm not okay with it, man.
But so like the Bad Batch was introduced before this series ever was a thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
exactly. And
Yeah,
this
like-
is why I can't
Like
stand
this guy just at the beginning of the episode, no spoiler, I guess. Like this is just the very beginning of the
It's not like it's
episode I
gonna
watched. This dude comes running down a hill, and he's a Padawan, I suppose. And he's like, they're like, where are the stormtroopers you're supposed to get to back us up? And he's like, bro, I got them. Like they're on their way. And they're like, but where are they? And he's like, there's 5 of them. They're like, there's only 5? He's like, yeah, there's 5. They've got it, dude. And all of a sudden, like a rock comes flying down the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And takes out a bunch of stormtroopers. Yeah, so that was where I was like, oh, like he hired mercenaries, basically.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're taking it completely out of context. So I just
feels right.
No, man, I'm not going to respectfully go into a breakdown of what you watch and I didn't watch because I don't feel like you're vindicated in being able to do so.
Hey, dude, how about this, though? I'll keep watching and I'll keep giving breakdowns on something that I have. Like, because I know especially, like, we have our friend Hey Archer out there who spends...
I cannot wait for him to get to get a hold of this, dude.
He spends a fair amount of time watching YouTube videos that break down Star Wars. Like, hey, I can be your new guy.
Yeah, I don't think you have the credibility to have Archer watch
Let me
us.
give you the important facts about the franchise that you love so much, Steve.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get out of that right now. But
Yeah.
The Bad Batch is out. I certainly will be tuning in.
Why didn't you watch it yet, dude?
To be honest with you, man, I've been watching so much stuff lately. And
Yeah,
you wanna know,
I mean, I've got you balls deep in the challenge. So
you've got me balls deep in the challenge. I've been watching some anime, and I got to catch one Amazon Prime original movie.
is that me vibrating?
No,
or you
that's
vibrating?
me vibrating.
Okay. I just keep
People
getting
are losing their
confused.
shit over this Chelsea game right now.
Yeah. Tell me about it, dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
Shit.
But Lenny, you and I got to watch a movie that just got released,
Mhm.
and we watched it on Amazon Prime Video.
That is correct. You can all find it there with your memberships because everybody has Amazon Prime at this point.
And hopefully they have their own memberships.
Or share.
Or share. Sharing is
Okay.
caring. But we were kind of stoked on this new Michael B. Jordan movie, Without Remorse.
Mm-hmm. What is your familiarity with the movie with the character? Do you know about this franchise?
So I know it's part of the Tom Clancy franchise.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it, but I am very familiar with the name.
Have you watched like the Jack Ryan movies at all, or the TV
I watched
series?
the Jack Ryan show. Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean,
you've
John
probably
Krasinski,
you've probably seen a fair amount of the Jack Ryan movies too.
Yeah, I probably have.
I mean, because you've seen Some of All Fears.
Yep.
Right, that's Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
You have Clear and Present Danger, which would be Harrison Ford.
I'm trying to think. There's another one, isn't
So
there?
there's Jack Ryan, which was Chris Pine was in that one as well. So there's other ones too.
I've seen that one.
I have it on my Vudu, by the way. I have
Okay.
like the 5-pack 4K.
Well, I
on
know
my
what I'll
Vudu.
be tuning into.
So those are there, but basically this is all within the same franchise as the
Tom Clancy, essentially.
Well, so Tom Clancy wrote both of the books, but they do intertwine.
Yeah.
So Without Remorse is the story of John Kelly. John Kelly in the books knows Jack Ryan.
Okay.
Like they are co-workers
Okay.
in the books, to the point
Part
where
of the same team.
Clear and Present Danger has Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan, and I believe it's Willem Dafoe is John Kelly
Okay.
in that movie. So it's been like this is a character that's been in media prior, but this is like its first, I would say, major
Solo
film that
or
we've
solo
gotten from it.
project.
So what did you think of your introduction to it?
Immediately getting into it, it had the feeling of like a Jason Bourne movie almost, where I knew what I was getting. That they make the joke. They're like, "Oh, are you a smartass?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, he is a smartass."
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, wait, that's me.
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh no, he's a badass." And there's already this hint of this guy is the Liam Neeson of the group, I guess you could say. He's going to be the guy that if shit needs to get done, he's going to be the one to do it. And that's where it kind of sets the tempo for the movie that they're already kind of breaking some rules. There's going to be some blowback, and he's probably going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, this for all intents and purposes, this is basically what I tend to enjoy from an action movie standpoint.
Yeah.
This is pretty much right up my alley. I think it's very easy for people to poke holes in the story. The story's probably not great. I've seen some actually pretty bad reviews from people online for this that I just can't give reviews that are based on like seriousness of a film, because I think every film needs to be graded on like a different scale, right? Like this can't be scaled. Like if you have 0 to 100 scale, right, Matt? And you had the movie The King's Speech. We've probably, neither one of us have seen it, probably, because who cares? But it won an Oscar. It's the reason I bring it up, right?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah, so it won an Oscar. So that would probably be like a 95 out of 100 on a scale. How can that be on the same scale as Without Remorse when they're just not aiming for the same audience, the same emotions, feelings? So that's always really hard when I see reviews from people on it. But I think if you're going into a movie that's like, hey, I want to watch just like a traditional, more similar to like a 90s or early 2000s Jason Bourne type action espionage film, this is just awesome.
This is it.
Like, it's very good.
Yeah, and it was on the money as far as the right type of action. And, to anyone who says that the storyline isn't great, I feel like the age of really focusing in on storylines when it comes to movies that are made on video games or remakes, I feel like that's completely out the window. I feel like we kind of set ourselves up for failure when we're expecting it to stick to a specific storyline.
And like, I shit on Netflix, right? But like, I also understand that I have a certain expectation as to what like Netflix to me or Amazon Prime, I have to grade it on the scale of when I was 12 years old and I would go to Walmart on Friday night before my weekend started. I would buy whatever the premium title was that came out that I'd seen in the movie theater months prior that I wanted to watch again. I would buy that. But then there would also be the B actor that I loved, like Dolph Lundgren or something stupid like that.
The Dolph Lundgren.
That he would have a movie that I would just buy. Yeah. Right. And that's the scale I have to grade Netflix or an Amazon Prime movie with is it better than something I would have just bought as a straight to DVD release? This is tenfold better than that to me from a visual standpoint, from an action standpoint. I won't spoil the plot or anything, but I have some high expectations. This dude gets the shit kicked out of him through most of this movie, right?
Yeah, and we can kind of give a review without giving any spoilers, but I genuinely thought that throughout this movie they did a very good job of keeping this character based, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like keeping him centered to a point where he doesn't seem crazy unbeatable, but you can also see him as being that badass.
He seems very. I don't know if he seems unbeatable, but he seems extremely durable. I think would be the proper way to put it, right? Because there's just time after time that this man is shot, beat up.
They don't give you a timeline for any of it, really.
One thing I will spoil, and this might have been in the trailer, so I don't know. Like I don't know if it's even spoiling it. Can I ask you though, what is scarier than crashing a fucking plane in the middle of the night in the ocean?
Nothing. Oh, and trying to retrieve something on the plane?
Well, I don't even give a fuck about that.
No, I get that, man.
That was at least lit. Like there was some lighting down there.
I think the worst part about that scene was him trying to strap himself in, and if you look out the window, you see the water coming. And you're like, oh, dude, shit.
And the only light that they have is like the moonlight hitting the water.
There's no light.
It is terrifying to be in the middle of the ocean in general. Like I think in the middle of the day, it's kind of freaky to look around you in the ocean and be like, there's no
land in sight.
Land anywhere. I'm just like stuck here, right? But to crash your plane and have it taking on water and you're in the middle of the fucking ocean, that's the most terrifying thing.
No, I think, and they do a very good job of playing to the emotions in that scene, because there's some years of silence where you're like, oh, this doesn't feel like it's going to end well.
Well, and not to spoil it at all, but if he didn't do what he did, like they were like, don't bother. But if he didn't do what he did, they would have died.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
we can't jump too much into spoiler territory, but it is a pivotal moment, and you realize like they shouldn't have been as okay as they were with it, just like leaving it be.
Yeah, so I will say, like, I definitely like this. I like what it did with the story overall. I think Michael B. Jordan is, at this point, got to be up there on an A-list talent.
My next question was, after watching this, where do you come out feeling on Michael B. Jordan? And I can 100% agree with you on that.
I've thought since Creed, like I really, really enjoy Creed, and like he definitely, Sylvester Stallone got the awards for Creed, like best supporting actor, and he's amazing in those movies. But Michael B. Jordan has stepped into that, and you can just tell that his outlook on these movies that he's making, they're not like, this is an action movie, but there is like a serious tone to it. Yeah. He seems like he's somebody who is choosing roles that are gonna require a certain type of like acting prowess from him.
Yeah,
like he had to be a harder like he plays a hard character pretty well, I suppose. But
the thing that I liked about this movie is that this character did not in any way, shape, or form remind me of Eric Killmonger, right? Because it's essentially the same badass, right? Except you've got a villain on one side, you've got a good guy on the or a Navy SEAL on the other, but they didn't interject or cross over at any point. And I think that takes a lot of talent, which he has been able to show when he takes on these roles. I think it's Just Mercy, if I'm not the one that he does with Jamie Foxx.
Awesome movie. Awesome movie.
One of the movies that it really showed you that he's at the pinnacle of his own talent. Like he's
playing in both,
taking it to another level.
He can play in every field, because you might not have ever seen this movie. What was it called now? So there's a movie he did with Zac Efron and Miles Teller. That's like a comedy movie.
So he
was it a comedy? It was a comedy.
Where they had the superpowers.
No, you're talking about a different movie. You're talking about Chronicle.
I am thinking
Chronicle's really good.
He was in Chronicle too.
Yeah, he's really good in Chronicle when he was a teenager. But this was other movie that he did with Zac Efron and Miles Teller. That they're just like teenage, like mid-20s dudes living in an apartment together, dating chicks.
No, I haven't seen it.
Really funny, but I think he just can play.
He can play all those
type
roles.
of role at this point. And I mean, the man's been acting forever. He was on The Wire, fucking 20 years ago.
Was still a talent back then. Yeah.
So he's graduated. At this point, I would say Michael B. Jordan has 100% graduated to the fact that when they talk about him being Superman, that's who I want to be Superman.
I can't see it any other way.
Yeah,
it's like Donald Glover playing Spider-Man.
That's the only guy.
There's a story behind that, but Donald Glover needs to be Spider-Man, and we all need to make it happen.
At some point. Well, you want him to be Miles or something?
Yeah, I mean, he could be Peter Parker. I don't care.
Okay.
Let's make it happen. Don't care.
I'm for it.
Yeah, man, Michael B. Jordan is slowly creeping his way onto the can't miss list for me.
So then,
genuinely love him.
The only other question I had left on this really is, do you think, as I told you, how it intertwines now? Both properties are owned by Amazon. You have Without Remorse, that in my opinion is, without spoiling again, like probably set up that you could continue this character if you wanted to.
Sure.
We know that there's going to be a season 3. It's been pushed back a couple times of Jack Ryan.
Yep.
Do you see those two franchises kind of crossing paths?
I love the idea of having John Krasinski and Michael B. Jordan on the same like movie screen or the same TV screen.
Well, because somebody was like, well, no, there's no way that you could have Michael B. Jordan like do it. He's not going to want to do a TV show, but I would say
I
at
would
this
disagree.
point, it's not a TV show anymore. Like they're all like you're streaming on Amazon. So the way I view Jack Ryan is the same exact way I view Without Remorse, right?
Yep.
So it shouldn't matter if he does it on a TV show or if he does it on a movie. If you bring like it's probably going to be on the TV show, I would say, unless you're going to give John Krasinski a Jack Ryan movie. That's the more famous
also,
character.
who are we kidding? Like TV now is what it was before, right? Like Game of Thrones, known as one of the greatest series or shows,
It's more like a
it's a
movie.
TV show. It's like a movie,
Yeah.
but it is a TV show. You're waiting weeks on weeks for extra episodes. I think there's a number of possibilities that you can go with this. They're both big name actors. The interesting part would be how do you bring them together? What's the mission or what's the take?
It wouldn't
to
be
bring
that.
them
I mean,
together?
so just in the books that from when I haven't read the books, but I'm fairly familiar with them. I've heard a lot about them growing up, and you know, John Kelly in the books is a character that operates a little bit more outside of the law than Jack Ryan would. And that's when they end up crossing paths. I would say what would happen with this is that there would have to be a job that needs to be done that you need a ghost, right?
Yeah.
You need something that like nobody could have been there. It's a little outside of the
Splinter
law.
Cell.
Like exactly. Like something like that I think is more where you're going to go if you're going to get Michael B. Jordan's character involved with the Jack Ryan. Now, again, I have not seen the TV show. It's on the agenda.
Yeah.
This isn't
It's a
one
good-
of those
it's a good
weird
show.
ones where I just don't know why I want to watch it. I do want to watch it. It's just I want to give it the proper attention for me to watch it. And I just haven't been in those mindsets.
And like any other show, it is. I tend to think it's a slow build, and you more so stay invested because it's John Krasinski. But definitely worth the watch, I think.
So on the taste test, in my, so let's knock down a wall real quick, Matt. Real quick, just bear with me for
one?
60 seconds.
Okay.
This one, fourth wall.
All right. Sorry.
I don't even know how to say it, man. We've talked about on here before, like the ebbs and flows of being a creator and how things go right and sometimes things go wrong and sometimes you're really happy with shit and sometimes like you're not. And last week there was a couple technical difficulties.
Yeah.
If you check out the audio version of last week's episode, we had a Mortal Kombat review.
Yep.
There was just no video for the second one. For whatever reason, then we did another episode of 321 Spoiler. I haven't told D this yet, so maybe I'll tell him before this airs.
Yeah, we might want to let that out. Sorry, D.
So my bad. We recorded a whole episode and somehow we don't have audio for it. We have video, we don't have audio, right? But on that episode, I was referencing this movie, The Kid Detective, and I was talking about how my scale has kind of changed a little bit for the taste test, in that I'm not really these scores for me are no longer going to be what I think in terms of quality of movie. Think of my rating as a recommendation scale. So it's more of, for me at this point, how much I would recommend somebody else to take their time to watch an episode. Incongruent with how much I like a movie is obviously going to play into that.
I think at its core, I think that's kind of the way I've always gauged it. Is I'm a big fan of watchability. So how many times could I watch this without utterly hating it, and how many people would I want to recommend watch it with me?
So with that being said, Matt, my score for this, my taste test score would be it's gonna be a piece of cake for me.
Okay.
I would say at this point. I again, this is for just strictly if you're a person who grew up on action movies like I did, mid 90s, you know, big explosions, gunfights, scenarios that it doesn't seem like they're going to get out of, but they do. I think this lives up to all of that stuff. If you like espionage and some of that close quarters, like physical combat that you got from the Bourne movies, this is definitely going to deliver on that front. And if you like the possibility of seeing franchises grow, I think there's an opportunity there for that too.
Yeah, I can certainly agree with that. I mean, this definitely sets the foundation to be something bigger for this this franchise. Man, coming into this, I was a bit on the chip side, but man, as we're kind of diving into it, I am leaning on a fresh piece of cake as well, because I do think while it is an action film, there's enough into it to make it somewhat of a drama thriller type thing where you're more invested in seeing how it's going to end.
You want to know who the bad guy is at the end of all of it.
You're following a lot of breadcrumbs, and you kind of just want to see what's at the end of it. So I'm gonna go with a nice warm piece of cake on that one as well.
Boom. We're both on the same page. All right, so last little thing before we get out of here. We haven't talked about video games in a very long time on here, Matt. But I wanted to spend a couple minutes on video games.
It's only right.
We used to do some reviews, but there has been a big lapse in types of games that we've wanted to play recently. I'm going to try and get some gameplay out there. I've been playing MLB The Show 15 recently. 15 fucking
What's wrong with you? No, I know what you're.
I have my camera settings in the game. They have one of the pitching settings to MLB The Show.
MLB 15.
Yeah, so I like that camera setting. That's why it's in my head. But MLB The Show 21, it's the first time on Xbox ever. And
Yeah,
I've been
strictly
playing
only
it.
PlayStation.
So
Yeah.
I'll try and get some gameplay. Maybe we can do a review on that at some point. I've been really enjoying it. It is free if you have Game Pass. Check it out. But a couple things this week. First, let's start here. So Xbox, speaking of them, so everybody takes a split on stuff, right? If you put their stuff on, like, Apple makes a profit off of their marketplace. Google makes a profit off their marketplace. Xbox is no different, obviously. And this week it was revealed that they were going to up their portion of how much they were taking from games sold through their market. And essentially it was going to go from like 15 to 20% or 12 to 20%. Which is a pretty big jump.
That's a huge jump.
And the thing that was going to hurt, I would just point out, isn't going to be major titles. It wasn't going to be MLB The Show. It wasn't going to be anything like that.
It's going to be those smaller titles.
It basically would take away any ability for smaller companies to make anything on their marketplace at that point, which would have really killed stuff. Like everything with Microsoft, though, and I don't know if you remember when they were announcing the Xbox One back in the day, and they said that they weren't going to put disk drives, and everybody like went nuts.
Yeah,
they put out this news instantly. Are like, everybody's mad and just pull back, and they're like, all right, we're going to stay at 12%.
Do you kind of feel like that's kind of like the situation that happens now with some of these big companies? Like they are trying to figure out the best way to make those extra bucks that they're missing, or to make money where they're seeing that there's opportunities to make money. But every time you see some of these big announcements where you kind of feel like the little guy is going to get screwed on it, there's almost this unity in that community that stops them from being able to make that decision.
Well, you just wonder, like, whatever happened to sending out, like, anonymous questionnaires? Hey, like, you have a bunch of people's emails through your Microsoft, like, store, right? Or, like, people have signed up for your service.
Where's the focus group?
Why wouldn't, like, how did nobody test that before you have to put news out that's bad PR and then just pull back on it? I thought it was kind of interesting, and it's just another long list of, like I said, screw-ups PR-wise from Microsoft that makes me think, how sustainable is it for there to be their console? It's probably going to last forever.
You also mentioned it being a big jump. What if that's like a ruse, and they're actually going to jump it to like 15, 16%, but they wanted everybody to be cool with it?
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it's like, hey, we need to make a little bit more money, but...
All right, you guys hated 20. We're going to drop it down to 15, 16.
So outside of that, we had Microsoft also. There was some leaked documents of a review on The Last of Us, which was like PlayStation's biggest release over the past however many years.
Is The Last of Us 2?
Yeah, The Last of Us 2. So they had an anonymous review where they basically were like, this game is perfect. Like from a storytelling perspective, this is the way it literally, I think verbatim was like, this is the way video games should be made.
Yeah.
If you want to make a game that has brilliant storytelling, visuals that are like mind blowing, whatever it is. The one thing they did comment on was the fighting, the combat systems. They said weren't great, which is kind of a nitpick, I'd say, when you're just basking in the glory of another company's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, man, you're almost solidifying the fact that this has been a much anticipated release. Like, oh man, you guys have no idea how great this is gonna be when you guys have been waiting for, but it's gonna suck when you actually play it.
Yeah,
like what?
Hey, like the fighting's not great, but it's like what you're essentially saying, Microsoft, is like you don't have anything that's your own that can live up to this. Yeah. To me, like it's just you're looking at this game and you're finding any little thing that you can point to and be like, we do it better.
Yeah.
But like Naughty Dog's exclusive to PlayStation, how are you going to find a title? And maybe there's one out there that I'm not thinking of, but I can't think of very many Xbox titles that are exclusive to them that are anywhere close to what The Last of Us could do. Anything that Naughty Dog, for that matter, puts out, because Uncharted is incredible as well. Last thing before we get out of here is what I've been looking forward to from a video game perspective significantly. Yeah. I'm stoked for this. We have Friday. For any video game lovers out there, for any horror genre lovers out there.
For any classic lovers out there.
Yeah, video game classic lovers. We have the latest iteration of Resident Evil. Resident Evil Village is coming out. It's Resident Evil 8, essentially.
Give us some backstory on it.
Coming off of Resident Evil 7, which was kind of a revamping of the entire franchise. Basically what happened was up until 4 was all really, really loved. 4 is considered maybe the best game of all of them.
They went through a bit of a troubled time.
They just tried some different stuff, and it's like 5 did co-op, and it did it okay. So you could play 2-player, and you could do splitting stuff. Right?
Oh, I remember, buddy.
Yeah, and it's
we
fun.
Had some good times with that.
It's a pretty fun game to play. Yeah. The 6th one reintroduces that, but they do even more, and it becomes way too much of a a time sequence action game,
Yeah.
like rather than being
Like you kind of got to be right on the point. Like you got to do everything correctly in order for you to actually
and
get
the
past
ammo's
it.
too easily accessible. The best thing about Resident Evil movies is like the pace and the build up and like the fear you get, like what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And like those games just didn't have as much of
That
that.
moment when you turn around, you're like, oh shit.
7 was a return to form.
Yeah.
7 is nuts. Like 7 is
No,
terrifying.
I heard you talk very highly of Resident Evil
Dude,
7 when it came
is
out.
scary. It has you have to be like thinking about how you play it because you have to think about your saves and your ammo.
Was
like,
this the one
all
that
of
they did
stuff.
in VR and everybody was losing their shit?
Yeah, I have never played it in VR because I wouldn't spend $400 on a PlayStation VR.
Okay.
But if I did, I would be terrified because I was scared shitless playing it
On a regular TV.
Like, dude, and like it's just the environment in it is so good. And since then, we've gotten remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3, which have also been awesome. If you haven't played those and you really loved those games growing up, and you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, go and take a look at those because those are also ones that I think 2 is better than 3, but both are great in their own right. 3 is really, really fast. If you're a person who just wants to get in and out on a game, you can finish that in a day very easily, and it's a lot of fun. But this new one is continuing on the story of 8. It's the return of Chris Redfield. We might be getting some Leon in there. I'm really excited to see where this kind of goes, and especially where we're going to be getting movies and TV shows at the end of the year. I can't get enough of Resident Evil as long as it's good.
Yeah.
So,
I know you've always been a huge
part.
Resident Evil fan, minus the
movies.
the movie aspect.
Hate.
Yeah,
I mostly hate the movies.
I mean, we all know why though.
Mila Jovovich and her husband.
Yeah,
Paul A. Anderson or something like that.
Paul asshole Anderson, dude.
Yeah, that's perfect.
This dude ruining films, ruining franchises. But Lenny's pumped for Resident Evil 8.
I'm so
certainly
pumped,
going to
Matt.
pick it up on the first day.
I
no
might
brainer.
already pre-ordered it. I also I'm thinking about, and if anybody's watching and has any interest in this, I'm tossing around jumping on Twitch a little bit, and I think Resident Evil might be a fun place to start. I'm going to be scared. I'd like some people to be scared with me. So let us know if you're on Twitch or if you watch Twitch. If you'd like to see us on Twitch, that'd be pretty cool as well. Maybe we can do some stuff.
Dude, I'm twitching just thinking about it. Honestly.
Perfect.
It was fantastic. And my rule is that you can only play it in the dark. No lights, no nothing.
No pants either.
No pants. I mean, you can do the no pants dance, bro.
That's perfect.
Well,
I like what you did there.
We're going to be doing the no pants dance.
I am no pants dance.
Right here.
Most of the time I'm at my house.
I didn't even think of that. Lenny no pants dance. We need to figure out how to get that on a t-shirt for you.
It's not that hard.
But we'll probably get that figured out by next week when we jump back in here.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have plenty to talk about next week. We're going to follow up on some of the stuff that we talked about this week.
Game Changers, I'm sure, is going to be on there. Resident Evil, I'll let you know where I'm at on that. Bad Batch, can't wait. That's going to be a fun segment, isn't it, Matt?
Hate your guts. Okay? But man, if you're excited for everything that we talked about today, we have no idea that you're excited. So you got to hit us up in the comments. Jump on the button for subscribe. Hit us with a like.
Please.
I heard that's popular.
There's a notification bell. Find us at Instagram for those with good taste.
Twitter at Good Taste Live.
Yes, sir. Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Apple, anywhere podcasts are provided. That's all I got, buddy.
That's all I've got, dude.
Word. Let's get the fuck out of
Dude,
here.
you suck. Later, guys.
Peace out.
Bad Batch bastard.
For those with good taste.